Buongiorno. I'm Karen Horting, Executive Director and CEO of the Society of Women Engineers, or SWE as we are commonly referred to. With more than 36,000 members globally, SWE is the world's largest advocate and catalyst for change for women in engineering. It is my pleasure to be joining you at Expo 2015 in Milan. Unfortunately, I can't be there in person, but I am happy to be joining you via this video, which was taped at our headquarters in Chicago, Illinois. SWE was founded in 1950, and while there are certainly more women in engineering today than there were when the organization was founded, women are still severely underrepresented in the engineering profession. Here in the U.S., women make up just 14% of the engineering workforce. So clearly, we don't have all the answers here, but we are working with many global organizations to focus on the best practices to improve the recruitment, retention, and advancement of women in engineering. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you some of the data around the obstacles and challenges for women in engineering, but also what employers in industry, academia, and government can do to remove those barriers for women. The following data points are from a study conducted here in the U.S. called Stemming the Tide. Two researchers from the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee had funding from the National Science Foundation, and more than 5,500 women in engineering took part in the study. And here's what we found. Nearly half of the women said they left because of lack of advancement opportunities, inflexible work hours, low salary, and too much travel. 1 in 3 women left because they did not like the organizational culture, the lack of inclusion, or their supervisor. 1 in 4 women left because of family commitments, though the caveat here is when they talked about family commitments, what they really talked about was lack of flexibility and lack of work-life integration. When we look at those who left as compared to those who stayed, there is no difference in terms of their interest in engineering, their confidence in their abilities, or the positive outcomes they expected from the engineering tasks they were doing. So what are some of the promising practices for employers that we can suggest? First and foremost is to create a clear, visible, and transparent path for advancement. Make sure that opportunities are offered equitably, and encourage women to take and be considered for stretch assignments. And what do we mean by a stretch assignment? Often when a woman will be looking at her next career step, she thinks that she needs to have 100 or maybe even 150% of the skills and experience required. But what companies should be doing is taking a look at high potential women with maybe 60 to 70% of what's required, and then encouraging them to get the rest of the skills on the job and moving them into those opportunities immediately. Communicate clear work goals and make sure all employees understand how the work they're doing contributes to advancing the mission of the organization. The next point is very important. Make sure that women have the opportunity for professional development and skills training. And when you're looking at this training and professional development, make sure that it's offered at all career stages, not just early in the career. Take a look at what skills are needed, the foundational skills in addition to their technical expertise. That could be leadership skills, it could be communication skills, or maybe management skills such as negotiation that are required. Providing this training will not only help them build those skills, it will increase their job satisfaction, and that job satisfaction in turn will lead to greater retention. Next, let's talk about mentoring and sponsorship. Mentoring is having an individual who works with you, talks with you about your career goals, and helps you navigate the organization. Sponsorship is somebody who has influence within the organization who is serving as your advocate and champion. In the U.S., we like to say, mentors are talking to you, but sponsors are talking about you. And for women, it's important that they have mentors and sponsors who are both women and men. So encourage the men within your organization to serve as those mentors and sponsors for women. Next, create an organizational culture that embraces ideas and innovation at all levels. While certainly those senior in the organization can come forward with good ideas, sometimes those very new to the organization, bringing that fresh perspective, will have things to share. Make sure that everybody's heard. Also, when we talk about an inclusive environment, not everyone understands what that means or what it takes to have an inclusive environment. So make sure that your managers receive training in this area and make sure they're rewarded for the advancements they make in creating an inclusive culture. We also know that a network is very important, so help the women within your organization build that network. Encourage them to participate in professional organizations and societies. Put them forward to speak at conferences or to serve as peer review experts for journals, or maybe to even submit papers for publication in those peer-reviewed journals. Encourage them to get involved in networking activities locally, maybe something specific to your industry or your geographic area. And lastly, start a women's network within your organization. Have that network be focused on positive outcomes, positive business outcomes, and make sure that senior leadership, both men and women, are participating in the network activities as well. Why is a network so important? Because the research shows that the #1 predictor of a successful career is having a large and open network. Take a look at the career highway within your organization. I wouldn't be surprised to see that there are more off-ramps for women than there are on-ramps. So take a look at what are the opportunities to bring women back to the organization who may have taken a break. Think about creating a returnship, similar to an internship for an early career employee. Leverage their past experiences. Help them freshen skills that may have gotten rusty in their time off, or get up to speed on new technologies that may have come online while they were taking a break. And recognizing that 25% of women leave because of lack of work-life integration, focus on improving those areas. Last year, SWE published its first ebook taking a look at work-life integration, and within the book we focused on 5 key areas. The first is taking a look at opportunities to improve flexibility within the workplace. So is there an opportunity for diverse schedules, to flex time, to work from home, to job share? Be creative. Have your managers think outside the normal structure and look at ways to improve that flexibility. Are there programs for parents? Are they encouraged to participate in their children's activities at school, maybe making up that time later in the evening or early in the morning? Is there on-site childcare, particularly for new parents? So take a look at that. What about health and wellness? Are there opportunities for women to focus on self-care? Next, what about care for other dependents, for aging family members that they may be taking care of? So giving them those opportunities. And lastly, looking at financial assistance. Is there financial assistance for things like that elder care or child care, or maybe for new parents, things like adoption? Organizations that not only have these work-life integrations policies, but effectively implement them are becoming the leaders within industry and will have a competitive advantage when it comes to recruiting and retaining female technical talent. And lastly, it's not just a women's issue. We need to have men at the table as well. They need to be part of the conversation, looking at solutions to increase gender diversity in engineering. So to the men participating today in Milan, I congratulate you for recognizing the important role you play. And for the women there today, when you go back to your own organizations, make sure you're inviting the men in your organization to be part of these conversations. We need to be solving the gender diversity problem together. In closing, gender diversity is going to be critical to solving the world's grand engineering challenges. Innovation requires diversity of thought, background, and experiences. So I congratulate the organizers of today's Expo Milano for recognizing this important issue. SWE stands poised and ready to work with you on increasing gender diversity in engineering, not only in Italy, but across the globe.
Grazie.